I watch movies all the time, whether they be in the cinema or from a DVD or on Netflix, Stan or Disney+. And once in a blue moon, I watch a movie that absolutely blows me away. All of the Lord of the Rings movies, Donnie Darko, things like Back to the Future,
Great Scott!
And even recently with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Gentleman and Knives Out. I usually have a viewing regime with these movies. I'll watch them once for the plot, then I'll watch them a second time for the finer details, and then a third time for the technical aspects. Now while I would love to spend hours talking about the beautiful plots of all these movies and the Easter eggs that are involved inside of them, unfortunately we just A, don't have time for that, and B, this video isn't on the plots of my favorite movies, it's on something a little different. How do these cinematographers and editors and more or less everyone who works on these films capture the beautiful colors that we see on our displays? And how can I, as a smaller cinematographer and video editor, even attempt to get close to this? Let's have a conversation about this, and I'll bring you on my own personal journey into the world of color. I just found that I wasn't satisfied with the color that I was getting out of the normal color profiles. I just thought that there was more to the image that I could retain. Let's expand on this idea a little bit because I feel like I just didn't give you the complete story in that video. I've shot on the GH4 for around about a year now, and it has been a fantastic camera to work with. It shoots in a beautiful cinema standard 4K, essentially meaning the shots are a little bit wider, and the color science that Panasonic loaded into it was some of the best for its time. Now it was only up until about November of last year when I started getting this feeling that I described in the Ninja 5 overview. I just felt like the colors that I was getting out of the camera, they could just be a little bit better. I feel like I just hadn't reached the highest point that I could. So I reached out to some of my friends who'd worked with the GH4 and I read some forum posts online, and lo and behold, there was an upgrade that you could purchase for the GH4, which adds Vlog-L, a new way to capture color with the camera, which also adds a few extra stops of dynamic range. Now it's all fine to say that we've added a little bit of extra dynamic range to the shot, and now we can film way more colors in the same amount of information. But we can't really, can we? And this is the problem that I faced when I originally started getting into Vlog-L. The issues that I described in the Ninja 5 overview started appearing everywhere in everything that I filmed. Unfortunately, Vlog-L requires you to shoot into 10-bit, and the GH4 does not have the ability to shoot 10-bit internally. I've mentioned the whole 10-bit concept before, especially in the overview for the Ninja 5, but I never really fleshed it out. So let's talk about crayons. Let's say that I want to paint a beautiful, picturesque landscape photo, but I only have a couple of crayons to do it. I can only capture the colors that I see with the crayons that I have. And this is an issue because the dynamic range of the shot is much larger than the crayons that I have. So let's say what we want to do is add a few more shades of color in between the crayons that we currently have. I now have, effectively, a wider dynamic range. And that means that I can basically capture more information about the thing that I'm painting, or rather drawing with the crayons. So if we apply this to my situation, I was attempting to film Vlog-L in 8-bit, which inherently has 16 million colors available, when realistically, Vlog-L requires 1 billion colors, which is supported in the 10-bit range. This idea of increasing the amount of crayons that we have to increase the dynamic range is also known as increasing the bit depth of your video. So when I wanted to increase my bit depth from 8 to 10 in order to film in Vlog-L, I had to go out and buy an external recorder, which was what I detailed in my Ninja 5 overview. Go watch that if you want to check it out. Link will be in the card that's just available on the screen now. But was that investment worth it? Well, from a cost perspective, maybe, but from a visual perspective, definitely. The dynamic range and the color that I can capture in my shots now absolutely blow me away, and I really hope you're enjoying seeing the B-roll shots that I'm getting right now. Except, you're not really seeing it all, are you? That's exactly the conclusion that I came to about a week ago. It's fine for me to shoot into 10-bit, which removes all the issues that I had before and the ones that I described in the Ninja 5 overview, like chromatic aberration. But without a way to view this extra information in my shots, how am I actually making a difference? So all of a sudden it became apparent that in addition to buying an external recorder, I now also needed to purchase a 10-bit capable monitor. Now, some of you out there might think, that's easy. Just go online, search for a 10-bit monitor, go out, grab it for yourself, whack it down the desk, and bam! Okay, it's not exactly that simple. There are variations of 10-bit in all the monitors that are available on the market. You see, most monitors are 8-bit capable, and then you've got the monitors which say they're between 8 and 10-bit, but market themselves as 10-bit. And then you also have monitors which are true 10-bit, and then you have monitors which are a little bit more, which consider themselves as HDR monitors. It gets really complicated the more you read into it. So that's fine. I went out, I did my research, I went to a few shops and asked around, and eventually I found the monitor that I'm using now, which is 10-bit supported. But then we also come to the problem of how can you display this extra information if you don't have a signal that is capable of carrying it? Now, most of you out there, if you're buying 10-bit monitors, you will be using graphics cards, whether that be AMD or NVIDIA. The only problem is, most of those consumer NVIDIA and AMD cards don't actually support the ability to output 10-bit information. You need to go out and buy a workstation GPU for that, like the Quadro series from NVIDIA or the Radeon series from AMD. This also means that you'll be slicing off an arm and a leg in order to pay for this stuff, which is something I don't think any of you really want to do if you're cinematographers and video editors of the same caliber that I am. Luckily, NVIDIA has moved out of the 10-bit dark ages that they were in a couple of years ago and now supplies studio drivers for you to use on your latest up-to-date graphics cards. Keep in mind that they really only support the 10 series and 20 series, and realistically, you should be using them with the 20 series RTX. But even with my 10-bit display and my 10-bit external recorder and my 10-bit support on the camera, you're still not seeing what I intend you to see, are you? You see, I edit 10-bit files on a 10-bit monitor in a 10-bit workspace. But then when I upload them to YouTube, you're watching them on your classical 8-bit monitor. Now, don't get me wrong, not everyone needs a 10-bit monitor. But this also leads into a whole nother question. How do I know that your monitor, your 8-bit monitor, is even calibrated correctly? You could be seeing the completely wrong colors, a blue, cinematic mess, or a over-sharpened, oversaturated crockpot, or even a yellowy red mess. And with all that being said, I doubt that you will ever see my videos in the true way that I intended you to see them, whether that be due to the 10-bit to 8-bit conversion on your monitors, or just due to the fact that YouTube nukes my bitrate every time I try to upload a crisp, pristine 4K video. My journey towards capturing more accurate colors through the use of a 10-bit signal has been expensive and troubling. And to be honest, I wouldn't recommend any smaller cinematographers or video editors who are just starting out from getting themselves involved in this. That being said, all the stuff that I read online also didn't recommend me to do this, and yet I still went ahead and did it. And that's the whole message of this video, realistically. If you think that you can do it, go out and have a crack at it. You deserve to achieve the highest quality that you think you can out of the equipment that you have. And if that means spending 3 months of your life researching color, you go out there and do it.